it's Graham here, living the dream in May 2025, and I'm staying with our fantastic friends Tom and Star at their beautiful home in rural Tennessee. This, guys, is the second part of my trip report, and it's on board American Eagle, courtesy of PSA, in one of the small Embraer regional jets from Philadelphia across to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Graham, and this is my wife Fiona, and we have always had a work hard, play hard philosophy. From London to New York, and of course the Caribbean, we live our dream through travel. And of course, the odd cocktail. And here on YouTube, we create our memories while living our dream. So come and join us as we share our memories with you. In the last episode, I just arrived in Philadelphia on my long flight across the Atlantic on board American Airlines in premium economy on board one of their 787-9 Dreamliners. And if you want to watch that video, guys, just go back one episode. I transferred through Philadelphia more than a few times because American Airlines used to have a direct flight between Glasgow and Philadelphia, which ended just before the pandemic. This was also my first trip to the United States on a brand new UK passport, which was renewed back in November 2024. I was therefore going to be entering the US on a brand new ESTA as well. And given the recent stories in the press since the change of government in the US, it is fair to say that I was a little bit nervous this time. On recommendation, I'd also downloaded the MPC App, the mobile passport checking app, onto my iPhone. Philadelphia Airport was one of the locations that the MPC app would work, so I completed my arrival process prior to leaving the UK, registered on the app that I had landed in Philadelphia, and I went straight through the US immigration process in no time at all. The bag also arrived, transferring from Terminal 5 to Terminal 3 at London Heathrow, and then on to an American airline flight here to Philadelphia. And of course, I'd been tracking my case because there was an AirTag installed in it. And at this point on my transit through Philadelphia Airport, I was about to put my bag on the transfer belt, and hopefully the next time I would see it would be in Knoxville, Tennessee. But for me, it was now time to make my way to TSA and further security screening before I could go airside in the airport, where that first beer was hopefully waiting. As you can imagine, I turned the camera off before entering the TSA security screening area. Again, it was a pretty easy process, but unlike the UK, here in the US, they don't have the modern screening equipment, which meant I had to empty my rucksack of my laptop, iPad and liquids before removing my shoes and belt. The majority of international flights like mine arrive at the A gates here in Philadelphia, and because my flight to Knoxville was on board an American Eagle flight, basically a small regional airline, I'd be leaving from the F gates, and the walk between the A gates and the F gates was quoted at around 45 minutes to an hour, depending how fast you walk. I wasn't that worried because I had a little over 3 hours to transfer from a flight arriving here in Philadelphia to my flight to Knoxville departing. I wasn't currently hungry because I'd had a pretty good feed on the flight over from London on aboard American Airlines. I was also planning to eat with my colleagues when I arrived in Knoxville, but that wasn't going to stop me finding a bar and hopefully a decent pint of beer. So after a couple of pints of probably the most expensive beer I've ever bought, which means I'm never going to complain about the price of beer at Glasgow Airport again, and it's expensive there also, I started to make my way to the F gates, which was quoted at around a 30-minute walk. Anyway, just like back in London, American Airlines had been extremely proactive at emailing me the gates, and I was heading towards the first of 2 gates here at the F gates at Philadelphia International Airport, which I'll explain a little more about later on. And here we are approaching F4, which I didn't spend that long at because there was a gate change, which would mean another 15-minute walk to the new gate. The F-gates here at Philadelphia Airport are pretty well dedicated to the many regional airlines that connect hubs like this American Airlines hub at Philadelphia. And it's the small regional aircraft like the CRJ that you see pushing back here are the backbone connecting the many smaller airports across the country with the main hubs like here at Philadelphia. And here is our Embraer ERJ145 that will take us down to Knoxville, Tennessee, arriving on stand. And once all of the passengers from this inbound flight have all disembarked, the aircraft cleaned up, it will be our turn to board on our way to Knoxville. These little Embraer 145s have less than 50 passengers, so boarding, guys, isn't that difficult and certainly isn't going to take that long. But as you can see, the scanner just wasn't having my boarding pass that was issued back in Glasgow this morning. However, the lovely gate agent was very persistent, and on the third or fourth attempt she managed to get my boarding pass to scan and for it to bleep green. I was now on my way to the aircraft. And for those of you on this side of the pond who wondered what all the bags were sitting on the jetway, it's very simple, guys. This little aircraft simply isn't large enough to take carry-on bags, certainly not the small cases. So if you leave your case on the jetway with the relevant tag, a baggage handler will come along, take your case, pop it in the hold, and when you get to your destination, your bag will magically just appear back on to the jet bridge at the other end, ready for you to be on your way without having to go down to the baggage carousel belt. And even better news, our taxi to the runway this afternoon was going to be a short one. This flight was scheduled to take just over an hour, so I was extremely surprised when the single flight attendant came down the aisle with a beverage trolley, and as you can see I chose a Coke Zero and a packet of pretzels. One thing that certainly wasn't great was the legroom. But hey, let's face it, guys, this is just a little regional service. And the scenery did start to improve as we flew overhead Virginia and into North Carolina. It wasn't long until we were on an initial approach into Knoxville Airport, which is known as Tyson McGee. And as you can see on the zoomed in image of this river, which I'm going to assume is the Tennessee River, it was very brown, and that was more than a little concerning. However, the guys were telling me that a really bad storm had passed through in the last couple of days, and that meant a lot of sludge and dirt would have run off from the fields surrounding the river into the river itself. And I suppose, guys, that made sense.
our pleasure to welcome you to Knoxville, where the local time is 6:25. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign has been turned off and keep off clear from all personal items. Don't forget to check your seatbelt pocket for any personal items like tablets or cell phones. When you open the big compartments, be careful as items may have shifted in flight. You now use your cell phones. American Airlines and One Worldline's partners and this Philadelphia-based Piedmont flight crew like to fix flying with us today. Have a great evening, and we hope to see you again soon.
Welcome to Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville certainly isn't the biggest airport in the US, with only 12 gates with jet bridges according to ChatGPT. Making your way around this little airport is really easy. The chlorine smell from this indoor water feature at Tyson McGee Airport here in Knoxville, I felt give the terminal a fresh smell. It certainly beats the smell kicked out by air conditioning units that you would get in most southern US airports. And also, like most airports the world over, check-in is on the first floor and baggage reclaim is on the ground floor. And being such a small airport, baggage reclaim took only a few minutes for my case to arrive. Now it was time to head outside and see if I could find Tom and Brandon. And of course, there was no way anyone was going to miss the roar of the V8 of Tom's Dodge Charger.
Well, big boy. What's up, son? Did you find us? Was it hard to find us? Was it hard to find us?
So guys, this is where the craziness begins. Yes, there will be a lot of work done this week, but we also plan to have more than our fair share of fun along the way. So as Tom drives out of Tyson McGee Airport here at Knoxville, Tennessee, as we head towards Carmichael's for a well-deserved burger, it's time to bring this episode to a close. I've called the next 3 episodes on the channel Men Behaving Badly in Tennessee, in reference of course to the hit British television comedy show aired in the 1990s. So if you want to continue to follow Tom, Brandon and I as we all behave badly in Tennessee, you know what to do, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon to be notified when the next episode is published. I hope you enjoyed that little trip report on board American Eagle from Philadelphia down to Knoxville, Tennessee. Thank you so much for watching.